is Vasilia Boskowicz, and I'm here with Mr. Gary Weaver. He's the chapter president of the Las Vegas Cadillac Club. Gary, how's your day going?
So far, we're doing very well, thank you.
Please tell me about this wonderful venue and all the cars you have here.
Alrighty. This is our 15th Cadillac through the years. We are doing it here at Town Square. They have generously allowed us to use their facility, and we're very happy with that. We have 66 cars here today. We have cars from 5 different states. Everything from a 1917 to a 2021 are all here represented. There's not a whole lot else to say except come see our cars.
That's incredible. Do you have any favorite cars here that we have to check out?
Oh, absolutely. This car right over here is a 1959 Fleetwood limousine that was in the movie Godfather 2.
One of my favorite movies, if I might add.
Good. We also have our oldest car is a 1917 Type 55 Phaeton, which is a very nice car. Incredible. And then up and down the streets we have cars from everything else. We have brand new cars, we have 50s cars, 60 cars, 70s cars, everything that you would want, up to and including a brand new 2021.
I think I see Thomas Smith from Findlay Cadillac. Mr. Smith, how are you?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm wonderful. So happy to be here. Do you have a favorite car?
Of course I do. The Ctty 5V 2022. One of my all-time favorites. Gorgeous vehicle available at Findlay Cadillac right now. And again, when you think Cadillac, think Findlay Cadillac.
Of course. This is such a beautiful car. One of my favorite colors. I'm matching with it. It was meant to be. Do you have another favorite car here?
Absolutely. The 2022 Escalade. Gorgeous vehicle. Love it.
So are you into more newer cars or older cars?
Always. Now, again, both. You got to bring the old and the new together, and you can't go wrong either way.
I agree. And how about yourself?
Well, as I said before, I like them all. And remember, the Cadillac Club is the most fun you can have with your Cadillac. And I also have to say, of course, thank you to Findlay Cadillac for being our sponsor. We appreciate it.
I can't wait to get my Cadillac when I'm older. Colin, please tell me about your magnificent car.
It's a 1917 Cadillac. You know, it's a little over 100 years old. Drove in here this morning for the Cadillac Through the Years show from about 10 miles away. Very special vehicle. Restored. It went through one restoration back in the early 60s. And then when I purchased it about 15 years ago, we took it through an additional restoration. So it's in really very nice condition.
I can see that as you drove it all the way over here, 10 miles. What engine does it have? What kind of engine?
It has a V8. Cadillac went to V8 in 1915 and pretty much stayed that way until the 90s. So it's a V8 engine, 314 cubic inches, 75 horsepower. The car will do about 50 miles an hour.
And I would like to know, I heard recently the wonderful story about the Cadillac company and how they were so generous. They patented first the automatic starter, and then after a year they released it to the public because it was safer. Can you tell me more about that?
Well, Henry Leland, who was in charge of Cadillac in the beginning, one of his business friends was hurt by a car that had a hand crank on it, and all the cars had hand cranks at that point in time. And you needed to be relatively strong, and a hand crank was also relatively dangerous. And one of Leland's acquaintances, a business friend, was hurt trying to start a car for somebody who had stalled and basically died from the accident. And Leland put his entire engineering staff on saying, figure out how to start this vehicle with an electric starter, that you did not have to crank.
It's a very tragic story, but it's revolutionary because it changed our world.
Yeah, it changed the world. It made it possible for somebody to start the car who wasn't really strong or wasn't aware of the dangers. So
it made it possible for me to be able to start the car.
Yeah, and it was the same with me. I wouldn't be strong enough to crank this car.
And also, I would like to talk about this emergency unit here. How incredible is this? I've never seen a car that has an emergency unit because back then they didn't have a gas station in every corner, so they took it with them. Can you tell me more about that?
It's set for gas, water, and oil. So you brought a little extra along with you. So if you were out in the middle of nowhere, you could still get yourself back home.
And it's color coded. Thank you, Cadillac.
Yep. And if you think about this era, 50 miles was a very, very big trip. That would be a day travel. Where today, we travel 50 miles to go to work, and so it was a big deal to travel a long way.
Another interesting thing about this car is on the other side, there's a picnic basket. And you might say, well, why is there a picnic basket? This model doesn't have a trunk, but instead has a huge basket on the side. Can we look at that?
It's over on the other side. So if you notice, it's out of the era where there wasn't a trunk. So if you wanted to carry something, you put a rig on your running boards. And in this case, it's a picnic basket, so you could go out in the country and have a picnic. It has, the dishes, the silverware, the cups, everything in that little basket.
I don't know about you, but I want a picnic basket attached to my car. And another thing, out of so many incredible and mesmerizing things about this car, is the wooden wheels. These are the original wheels, correct?
Yes, they're the original wheels. But if you go back to this era, the wood wheels were considered to be stronger than steel wheels because steel wheels were just coming out. So all the cars would have wooden wheels.
I want wooden wheels on my future car. So tell me about the chrome horn.
Yeah, well, it's best listen just to it. This was the style of horns in that day, where today that nothing like this would be there.
Yes.
So.
Do I have your permission to honk the horn? Thank you. This button, right? I love this car. This is my dream car.
Yep.
Thank you.
And there's a couple of things on this car that we think are really modern additions. When you look 100 years ago, they were there. Like one right here. I don't know if you can get this, but we think a tilting steering wheel is such a modern convenience. And here it is 100 years ago. There's some aspects of the engine's design that we think are very modern, but were there 100 years ago.
Can you take the wheel completely off?
This one?
Yeah.
No, it just swings down out of the way so to give you better access. Just like you have a tilting steering wheel in the car today, make it easier to climb in and out.
So, Mr. Colin, I understand you have another car here.
Yes, there's a 38 Cadillac here, halfway down the block.
Can we go look?
Yeah, sure.
Follow us. Mr. Colin, I am so impressed right now. Two fantastic cars. Please tell me about your second one.
This is a 1938 Cadillac Series 75 Fleetwood, which was the largest car made by Cadillac in 1938. It's been through total restoration and back to original status, everything redone. Wonderful driving car. Another big V8 engine, and just the epitome of luxury in 1938. Weighs just under 5,000 pounds, and I think it sold for over $2,000 when it was new.
Also, I wanted to ask you about this. Is this for decoration? What is the story behind that?
Well, part of it's for decoration. Part of it's for decoration. It's a hood ornament like you see on a lot of cars, but it's also how you open the hood.
Wow.
Yeah, and like I said earlier, had another big V8 engine and about 150 horsepower. This car can go almost 100 miles an hour.
100 miles an hour.
Yep. I do not drive it that fast, but it's capable of just under 100 miles an hour.
How incredible. You have a transportation vehicle with a bar in it. This side.
I don't know if you can get in and see that, but it's decked out like a limousine. Like a limousine today, you would expect to see a bar in the back of a limousine, and So it's decked out as a limousine.
So unlike your other car, this one actually has a trunk, right? Not a picnic basket on the side.
That's correct, yeah. It has a regular trunk.
So can you tell me the story behind this car?
This car was originally purchased by somebody who was in the gravel industry on the East Coast as his Sunday driver. So it never went back and forth to work. It was a Sunday car.
Very fancy car for church.
Yeah, that's right, very fancy car for church. It was sold out of his estate 35 years after he bought it when he passed away. So the good news is it never went onto a used car lot. It went right into the hands of collectors. So it's been restored twice since then.
So how did you acquire this car?
It was here in Las Vegas, and a previous owner had it here in Las Vegas. The end of the restoration was rushed some, so he was having a lot of trouble keeping it running and decided to sell it. So I bought it and finished out the restoration. The car has 76,000 original miles on it.
And how fast? You said 100 miles?
It's capable of just under 100 miles an hour, only I would not drive it that fast.
Are the seatbelts original in this car?
No, the seatbelts didn't come out until the late 50s. I drive it, so I want the security of a seatbelt. I put also turn signals into it. Turn signals didn't start until 1941. So, but it's safety issues. So.
Thank you, Mr. Colin. I appreciate your time, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.
Okay, great, thank you.
Thank you. Chris, how are you doing today?
Good, how are you?
I'm wonderful, especially standing next to the original car that was in the Godfather movie. I want to ask, which Godfather? Is it 1 or 2?
It's used in the Godfather 2 movie.
And this is the original
This is
car.
the car from the Godfather 2 movie, correct.
Wow. So please tell me about this car. How did you get this car?
I'm a very lucky guy. I got it from the original owner. She's still alive. They own a funeral home up in Reno. This is one of the first times the car has been seen in 40 years because they had it in their warehouse. And I was just incredibly lucky to get it. I've owned it for 3 years, and in the last 3 years we've done a lot of work to it. But it was a good car to start with. Again, I'm incredibly lucky to have it.
So what type of engine does it have?
It has the original 390, the old drivetrain's original. We did kind of spruce it up a little bit, but man, it runs good, low mileage.
You guys, including me, are very lucky to feast your eyes on the original car after 40 years. No one has ever seen it, and now we are very lucky to be here today. Thank you again.
I'm the lucky one. Thank you very much.
So this is a pretty big car. Where would you park this?
You know, I happen to have a garage that this fits in, which is for Vegas, it's very unusual. So I can never sell the car because it actually has a garage that it fits in.
It was meant to be.
It was meant to be.
And also, I love this license plate. If you didn't know that it was in the Godfather movie, you would with the license plate because it's personalized and it says Godfather. So thank you again. I appreciate it.
Pleasure was all mine.
And do I have your permission to sit in the car?
Absolutely.
Thank you again. How incredible is this? A car that has a footrest in it. You can lay your feet, sit back, relax. And Mr. Chris, I'd like to ask you, what is this in front of me?
Those are called jump seats for extra seating. You'd actually just fold those out and you can seat more passengers.
You know, this is a beautiful car, but it's also very convenient as well. So if you ever need more seats, you just pull them right out. Thank you again, Mr. Chris. I'm honored to sit in the original Godfather 2 car. John Bergler. John, how are you?
I'm fine. Beautiful weather. It's a great day.
Beautiful weather, great days, fantastic cars. Please tell me about your car.
Well, it's a pink 59 Cadillac, and I've had it 33 years, and it's kind of appeals to everybody, adults, kids, ladies, guys, everything. Everybody, it puts a smile on everybody's face when they see it.
It does, definitely. I speak from experience. And how did you acquire this car?
Well, my wife, we from Michigan, and we were visiting here in Vegas, and all through our married life, she always joked she always liked a pink Cadillac. Well, this car happened to be for sale out here in Vegas, and so I kind of surprised her and bought it. And then we shipped it back to Michigan in 1989, and lived there until I retired. And then in 2000, we shipped it back here because we moved to Vegas permanently. And so it's made the round trip.
And can I ask, why is it Elvis themed? If you look inside, there's Elvis carpet here. So can I ask why?
Well, Elvis is one of the persons or personalities that's owned more Cadillacs than any other personality. He used to buy Cadillacs and give them away to people. And in fact, early in his career, one of the cars he bought his mother was a pink Cadillac. And so they kind of goes along with his, everybody knows Elvis had Cadillacs. And he's probably owned more than 100 and given away, more than that, yeah.
So he bought a pink Cadillac for his mom, and you bought one for your wife.
Hey, there
That's
you go.
incredible. Can I ask, why are there plastic seat coverings?
Back in the in the 50s, when you'd buy a new car, a few weeks after you bought the car, a company, you get in the mail an advertisement for plastic seat covers. And the reason for that is people wanted to preserve the original seats and not wear them out. And just like some people, some mothers and stuff would put plastic seat covers on their couches and sofas, okay? Or Davenports, as they say. And so anyhow, this car, the person who had it, put plastic seat covers on it, and that's what they're there for. So you can see the upholstery through it, but yet it protects it.
And is there a reason for the fuzzy dice?
No good reason, other than it's just what people I'm lost in the 50s, and that's what people do.
Well, it matches the car. Another thing that matches the car is a tiny replica of the car inside. So where did you get that?
Oh, I don't know. I ran across it at one of the swap meets or something like that, yeah.
It was meant to be in your possession.
Oh, yeah.
What is your favorite part about this car? A favorite feature?
Well, the most thing that stands out to me and most other people are the huge fins. The fins on this car were the largest fins ever produced by an automaker in the United States. And so they're quite big and high and very outstanding. So you look at them and you just can't believe that we would produce something like that. Today you look at cars, they're so conservative and stuff, and you can't tell one from another, and there's no mistaking what this car is when you look at it.
No. Not with the fins, not with the color. You'll never forget this car. Can we look at the fins?
Sure.
I love these fins. They're beautiful. What is that on the back of the car?
Well, I felt the car wasn't kind of stood out enough as much as it should. So it's called a continental wheel, which they used to do back in that time period. And it just kind of sets off the back of the car. It's continental kit, they call it. And so that's kind of neat. Same thing with the spotlights. There's spotlights on the front of the car that I put on. And like I say, it just makes it stand out a little, makes it longer, plus it stands out more.
Can you also tell me about these wheels? Because they match the aesthetic of the car perfectly.
Yeah, they're wire wheels, and I don't know, they're wide white walls, which they used to do, so much back in the 50s and 60s. And more wide white walls were done in the 50s. But nowadays, everything's got a black wall, and which I like white walls.
And also another thing that drew me to this car is this tray right here. Can you tell me the story about this tray?
Well, today the drive-ins we have are called Sonic drive-ins, and you pull in and park your car, and and you order through a remote system, and then they bring you your food. And back in the day, in 50s and 60s, drive-ins didn't have that, and you'd pull in and park your car, and a car hop would come to your car on roller skates, take your order, and return with your hamburgers or whatever you ordered on that tray, and they'd hook it on your window just like this one's hooked on, and they'd place your food on there and you'd eat in your car.
Thank you again, Mr. John. I really appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. How are you, Danny?
Good, how you doing?
I'm wonderful, and I love your car. Please tell me more about it.
It's a 1955 chop top Cadillac convertible.
What does chop top mean?
When they cut it down the roof 4 to 6 inches and make it lower, so it just gives it a different look.
Tell me, what is your favorite feature about this car? If you could pick one. I know there's so many.
One of my favorite features is probably the front bumper.
So is there a special purpose to these?
It's just the year of the Cadillac. This is the only year they came out with these big cones in the front bumpers.
Okay.
So it's this year 55.
And please tell me about these wheels. These are very interesting as well.
So I call this my gangster car. I got 20-inch Daytons on it, wire wheels with Vogue tires. So it kind of gives it the gangster look, old school.
Nice. And then I heard that there are actually 2 cars in this one car. Can you tell me more about that?
Yeah, this is a 55 convertible, but they chopped the back off and put a 58 back end rear end on it.
And how did you acquire this car?
I was looking and it came up online for sale in California. The guy had about 120 into it. He wasn't finished with it. So I ended up going out there, buying it, getting a good deal. And of course, I'm putting my flair to it and fixing it up more. So finished.
Of course. Thank you, Danny. I really appreciate your time and I hope you have a wonderful day.
All right, thank you.
Michael, how are you?
Fine, how are you today?
I'm great. And please tell us about your magnificent car.
Sure, it's a 1941 Cadillac Model 62 4-door convertible.
It's a 4-door convertible. That's incredible.
Yeah, that's a little unusual because you have to have quite a stout frame to support a 4-door convertible. And this particular car, they only made 400 of those.
400. So how did you acquire this car?
This was a day after a Mecum auction at Pebble Beach. And we did our negotiating at Pebble Beach for this car. That was about 4 years ago.
And where is it from?
From the Art Academy in San Francisco. That was part of their car collection they have there.
So feast your eyes on 1 out of 400 cars ever made. This is beyond outstanding. Please tell me about these wheels. These are really interesting and they're very intricate and they match the car perfectly.
Well, it's all original. Everything on this car is original. And at that time, they had tube tires, just like on a bicycle, where you would have inner tubes and the tires.
And what is your favorite part about this car? If you can only pick one.
Well, probably the 4-door part. I mean, that's unusual for any convertible. Almost every convertible you see is a 2-door because of the nature of the build.
And what type of engine does this car have?
This has the original flathead, 346 cubic inch, 150 horsepower.
Wow. So thank you again for your time, Michael. I really appreciate you taking your time and speaking with me. And I hope you have a wonderful day.
Thank you very much. You too.
Thank you.
And welcome to the Cadillac Show.
Thank you.
Good. How are you?
I'm great. Can you please tell me about your car?
So it's a 1953 62 series Cadillac convertible. It has a 331 engine, V8 block, and it's been completely restored off the frame.
So what was the original color before red?
It was black.
Does that include the wheel as well?
Yes, everything in the car was completely black. So black seats, black exterior, everything black.
But that's the original wheel, correct?
Yes.
That is amazing. I don't know if you can see the wheel from here, but it's 2 different colors and it's magnificent. Can you tell me about the wheels here as well?
So we have Sabre rims, and they are white-walled. It's really hard to keep clean white-walled tires, but they're really nice. We got them chromed. Everything got re-dipped on this car, so and everything is off the frame. It was complete off-the-frame restoration. I actually took this bumper off myself with my dad, so that was fun, taking all like the nuts and bolts and actually taking it apart and really seeing the insides of what a Cadillac looks like. It's actually pretty fun.
Yeah, I can only imagine. This looks wonderful. Another special feature that I just learned about this car is that there is a particular way to put the gas in. Can we look at that?
Yeah. It's not in a normal area, it's in the tail light. So you press the button, and then that's how you put gas in.
Thank you, Chardonnay.
No
And then I understand that that's your car over there as well.
Yes.
Can we look at it?
Yes, you can.
This is your second car. Can you please tell me about this?
Yeah, so this is a 1949 62 series Cadillac. It's been in the family and my family for as old as I am, and I'm 25 now. So it's been in the family since I was 25. I used to ride in it when I was like a little baby. I was like 3 years old, sitting in the driver's seat trying to drive it. But this was also completely restored. This is my mom's favorite car in the entire planet. She loves it, and its nickname is Creme Vanilla Wafer.
And then I understand that this one's Vanilla Wafer, and you have a nickname for this as well. What is that name?
This one's Fuego.
Fuego and Vanilla Wafer. Perfect combination. And can you tell me something interesting about this wheel that I just learned?
Oh yeah, so we have ivory on the turn signals as like the little buttons. So it's really rare if you lose a piece, can't find it again.
Don't lose it.
Yeah.
One last thing, what is your favorite feature about this car?
It doesn't have power steering, which isn't a favorite thing for many people, but it actually taught me to drive better growing up because you don't have control of the vehicle like that. So it's hard to steer. I've learned how to drive in this car my very first time when I was 15. So driving, steering, turning the windows up, like this was the best car to learn in because it's heavy, it doesn't stop when you want it to stop, it doesn't go as fast, but this was honestly the best thing I've ever got to drive in for my very first time. And I really appreciate it. Shout out to my dad for that.
Yes, and your dad is here, correct?
Yes.
Can we meet him?
Yes.
Well, Lyle, you have a wonderful daughter, as you know, Chardonnay, and she told us about Fuego and Vanilla Wafer. Do you have anything else to add?
No, I've been a Cadillac lover since I was 3 years old because my uncle used to have a Cadillac, and that's why I've been hooked in Cadillacs. I probably sold about 12 to 13 of them since then. We used to have a 41 limo was up here last year. We sold that. We had a 60 convertible, 62 convertible. I kind of fix them up. When I get tired, I let them go and move on to some other project. But
Do you have a favorite Cadillac?
No favorite. My kids are my favorite.
Aw, that's the correct answer.
Yeah.
Thank you again for your time. I appreciate both of you, and hopefully see you next time.
All right,
Thank
we will.
you.
Thank you.